Let's do a cheers. Welcome, YouTube singers and Ckvxs Studios friends and family. It is your host, Christopher Douglas Keller, here with my man, Mark Caldwell. Give it up for Mark.
I don't clap right. Only you. And oh. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Mark.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello,
Mark,
everybody. Yeah.
tell us about yourself. What do you do, my friend?
So I am a trapeze artist. I was kidding.
Yes, yes. And you had a couple near-death experiences, if I recall.
I've had full-death experiences. Yeah. No, I'm a musician.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, I know. You kind of get my personality now. I'm a musician. I play bass professionally. I sing harmony professionally. Producer, engineer, writer. You know, I try to have my finger in as many little pies as I can, which I think you almost have to do in this business.
You definitely have to.
Yeah.
You definitely have to. It's which is why I'm starting to do these videos actually too.
Certainly, I think it's great.
You know, I like to obviously the vocal coaching and the artist stuff, gigging downtown at the same time. You know, I wouldn't mind reaching out in another way too. And these videos are starting to become more fun for me the more I'm doing them. And it took me a little bit. As everyone knows, I'm working on them. We're getting them, and I appreciate the support. And I promised you, I said my next video I was going to get my guest Mark Caldwell here, the guy who produced the music you've already heard, my EPs, Every Little Bit, and It's My Life. And Mark and I, we wrote those songs together.
Yeah,
and,
most of them. Yeah,
all but I think one. Was it Another Door?
Another Door. You wrote that. Yeah, that was all you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But we did that together, and it was so cool because I was able to record everything with you. You produced everything and engineered everything.
Yes.
And it was Chris Condon on guitar, Mark Poise.
Yep.
And Condon plays with some other people.
Yeah.
But Mark Poise and you also play with.
We're in a band together with Tyler Farr, who's a country artist.
Tyler Farr.
And we tour the nation and sometimes the world with him.
Yeah, because you were in Japan.
We were in Australia and Japan last year.
That's pretty cool.
We were in Mexico last year as well. This year we've only done the States, but I can't complain.
Only? Well, this year's just still beginning, Mark.
Yeah, we have
okay.
time. We have time.
It's still snowing outside.
I love to travel, so
it's still early in the year.
You're right. You're right.
And you literally play stadiums.
Yes.
And you were just telling me too that you were playing on your first song that's getting ready to get radio play.
Yes. Tyler's new single is coming out this Friday, 4/20. It's called. Gosh, now I'm gonna screw it up.
That's all right. Tyler, if you're watching,
Love by the Moon is what it's called.
Love by the Moon.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a really great song, and we actually.
Is it coming out on iTunes and everything?
I believe so.
Okay,
I believe
cool.
so. Yes, iTunes, probably Spotify, Amazon. I'm pretty
YouTube,
sure
of course.
Yeah. I'm sure
cool.
I'm sure it's on all those platforms. We actually, he had us, his band, me, Mark Poise, Gary Janneman, and Dirk Weaver all go into the studio in Atlanta.
All great dudes, by the way. I've had the privilege of playing with all of you.
Yes,
actually,
great
live.
dudes.
Yeah, incredible.
You know, Gary and Mark, and those are class acts, including yourself.
Definitely. Oh, thank you. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Mark.
So I'm excited. You know, this will be the first kind of major radio release of music that I've been a part of.
That's pretty
which
cool.
I'm pretty stoked. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, as y'all know, I want to do these vocal vlog. My vlog is what I call them, right? I want to do my vocal vlog. Yeah, vocal vlog. That's right. I almost said vocal
vlog.
Yeah, it's the vlog.
Vlog. Vlog the Impaler.
This guy, his jokes. But yeah. So I wanted to expand a little bit and not just do the same old. You know, here's some vocal tips and here's some exercises. Here's my program. I wanted to go outside the box a little bit and talk more about I guess the real world of singing sometimes, because it's easy to get caught up and you know, you call it a bedroom singer. You know, it's easy to get caught up in doing that. I have so many students that'll hit me up and they want to sing so much, and they've worked with these programs for a long time, and they come to me like, Chris, I want to work on this. I want to work on this. I really want to sing like this. And then I say, well, sing me something. And they don't know what to sing. They can't sing anything. And it breaks my heart because I know they want to sing. They're emotionally there. And they have the talent. A lot of them have the talent, but they get so caught up in the technical world. And so I wanted to expand outside that and show a little bit more, as I have Mark on and some other cool dudes over the time, and to talk more about what else is out there besides just watching YouTube videos and doing some vocal programs, and even just taking vocal lessons on Skype or even in person. There's a whole world out there. Your vocal coach can tell you a whole bunch of fun stuff, but sometimes you just got to get out there and meet people like Mark, and or you can just watch this and learn from Mark and meet people close to you, wherever you live, that are like, there's only one Mark, but you can meet somebody kind of like Mark. But so Mark, so speaking of the singing thing, you've worked with me in the studio.
Yes.
And we're buddies, so that helps. But what are some tips you would say to someone coming into the studio? What would you say? Maybe it's their first time.
Right.
They've never recorded in the studio. They've never sung. And by the way, this isn't just also for studio. This is just vocal preparation in general. This will just help
it's
make
a lot
you
of overlap.
a lot of overlap. Mark, so tell me, what are some things you would say?
I would say that there's a couple principles that I live by when it comes to studio recording and even anything to do with music. First and foremost, music is fun. You're supposed to be having some fun.
I forget that so much. I really do.
It's hard work, and it can be frustrating, but ultimately the idea is that it's supposed to be fun. So
it's art. Art shouldn't.
It is. It's art, and it's a form of communication. So when you're coming into the studio, it's important to keep in mind that yes, it's easy to get wrapped up in like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do some recording. It's going to be put out there, and it's going to be that way forever. And I have to watch the clock because this is costing me a lot of money.
Right.
And a lot of what that does is it gets you in your own head. And you start thinking about all of the things that are completely the wrong thing to be thinking about when you're trying to deliver a performance.
What would you say some of those are?
Well, first and foremost, preparation, knowing your song back to front. It's not a good time in the studio to be looking at the lyrics. I mean, it's good. It's okay to have them there as a reference, but you should really know the song. You should kind of know your vocal part. So that way, when you're in the studio, like ideally what you want from a vocalist or any musician performing in the studio is to go in and almost, I like to say to people, like, when you're in the studio, act like you're on stage, and when you're on stage, act like you're in the studio.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't come up with that. I heard someone told me that years ago, but I live by that because, what is a recording but an example of your music or even someone else's music, but it's a way to get people to connect to a song and to you as an artist or as a singer. And you can't really connect with people if you are not being your full true self. I think people are smart enough to see right through it when you're just kind of like singing runs like it's like you have to have some soul, you have to have some emotion, you have to have some kind of let your personality shine through, because that's what people are going to connect with more than having perfect pitch, more than having great runs and great breathing.
I'd rather hear somebody just miss a note slightly, but
mean it.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
mean it.
I'm the same way.
And you can't mean it if you're thinking about all this other stuff that doesn't have to do with just let me have fun and sing this song as good as I can.
Yeah, it's like there's time for practice.
Yeah.
And then when you get in the studio, you don't want to have to think about what you practiced. It's like you put the time in already.
Yeah.
It's kind of already ingrained.
Yeah.
And every now and then, if you're like, oh, I'm having trouble hitting that one note. I don't usually have that problem.
Sure.
What's going on? Oh, okay. And that's where the technical skills come.
And that's
into play.
where a producer can also help you, or a vocal coach.
Yeah. And but you can't do that the whole time.
You can't. Yeah. You have to be able to let go.
And another thing you said too, you said as far as preparation, knowing every lyric, every part of the melody.
Mm-hmm.
and this is something we go over in lessons sometimes too. It's
Sure.
sometimes you think you know the melody,
Yeah.
and then you find out. How many times have you noticed this? Sometimes someone's singing a particular song, and they do a slide at a certain part and don't realize it, and you're like, that's not the melody.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta like, are you trying to sing this note? Does this word start here? Does it start here?
So yeah.
You're doing this weird little slide in there.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's times and places for slides and glides, and of course, you know, to make it emotional, they got to have those in there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't realize you're doing that, so it doesn't. It's not. To me, it's not prepared if some of that stuff's there a little bit. You know, once in a while it's one thing, but
it's not as polished.
Not as
I call those
polished.
isms.
Isms.
Everyone has their isms.
Everyone has
when
their
when I'm
isms.
playing bass, I have certain things that I do without thinking.
Okay.
And one of the jobs of a good producer or a good vocal coach or a good engineer is to notice someone's isms and help you, like, just to point them out. Sometimes that's enough to just be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. You know, I didn't even realize I was sliding that. That's just something I do reflexively, like as an individual.
Very cool.
So, and to your point, sometimes that happens in the studio, and you're like, well, I didn't prepare to change that. Now what? You know?
Oh yeah, that can stop you dead in your tracks. Like, I was in a great zone.
And it's important. And it's important to not get discouraged in that moment and go like, gosh, I'm not singing well. This isn't going. You know, it's easy to get down on yourself and very critical.
Sometimes it's an easy fix.
And sometimes all it just takes is, let's just try it 10 times. You know, just
and like
do it.
anything, experience.
Just
doing it over and over, and getting
Practice.
experience in the studio in that kind of setting, and knowing, like, or you know when you prepare a song, even for a show, or you're preparing it just for even a lesson. You know, like maybe you could ask yourself, if I were in the studio, how would I prepare this? You know, how would I prepare this to go and record it?
Absolutely.
One of the biggest studios in Nashville or LA or
Anywhere,
wherever tomorrow. Yeah. Like, so how would I prepare this? You might even hear some of those things yourself.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And what would you say to those? You know, we talk about experience in the studio.
Yes.
What would you say to those people that don't necessarily have access to? You know, we're in Nashville. There's studios all over the place. Literally, they're everywhere. You know, I could probably walk down the street and find 4 or 5 of them. And I'm outside of Nashville. But not everybody has that opportunity. And of course, you know, you're a producer, but you still have to make money, so people still need to pay you. Sometimes that's not in the budget. Like me right now, I would love to do another EP, but I gotta save up some money, right, to make sure we do it right. You know, that's just the reality of it.
Sure.
Everybody needs to, you know, if you're gonna get something done right, you gotta make sure you get it done right. And sometimes that takes a little bit of dough, right? Let's be real here. And not everybody has access to do that. So how would I, if I want to get better at doing it, and I don't have that capability at the time, or because of my location, I need to save up and travel somewhere. So that makes the recording process even more expensive.
More expensive and stressful.
Or you're trying to find someone to work with. What would you suggest?
Great question. I would suggest 2 things, because you know, there's something to be said that, and it's important to practice, you know, pitch. It's important to practice scales. It's important to practice breathing. It's important to practice, you know, vocal warm-ups and things. But all of that is sort of an exercise in preparing to sing music, and you have to start singing songs. You have to start singing music. You have to apply all of that stuff. Application.
Applying.
You have to apply it.
Applying what you're doing.
Because in my favorite way to apply is to play with other people. If you can, you know, if you have even if it's just another piano player or a guitarist or something, because once you remove it from just being yourself in your bedroom or wherever you are, you know, you can sort of overlook things that you will not be able to overlook if you have to accompany somebody else. You have to sort of keep a tempo. You have to know when to maybe increase your volume.
And a big thing too, you don't want to waste each other's time.
You don't want to waste each other's time. And you also don't want to disappoint maybe your friend or the other musician that you're working with.
That's true.
And it brings a different psychological aspect into things. So let's say that you can't even find that. Do you have a cell phone? Most people have cell phones. Record yourself. record yourself, even if it's crappy quality. Something happens within your mind,
and even if it's not a cell phone, I mean,
it can be on, it can be a cassette. I mean,
back in the day, I had a cassette,
that's what I did,
cassette recording thing, right? And I'd press record, and I'd go back and hear myself. I was like, what?
I had my acoustic.
I sound like that?
I had my acoustic guitar and just a cassette recorder.
Yeah.
And then I had the same exact reaction. I heard it back, and I'm like, I sound so bad.
or sound weird too.
I sound weird. I don't like hearing myself.
And you don't want to hear yourself back. It's so weird.
You have to go through that growth process to where you
gotta get used to hearing yourself.
You gotta get used to hearing yourself, and then you'll also notice, like, hearing something back when you're not actually singing or playing. You can be like, that was a little pitchy. Oops. You know, and you start to go like, okay, so at this part, I need to maybe reach a little bit higher and get that note a little bit more sharp or a little bit more flat or more air at this point. My breathing was all over the place, which you don't necessarily think about that when you're doing it, but you hear it back, you're like, you learn things. You learn stuff. Right.
Now, would you say that in itself is a great practice tool?
Absolutely.
Or would you say that's also a practice tool on top of other
It's in addition. It's part of your practice arsenal, you know.
Practice arsenal.
So,
that's cool. I like that.
A perfect example, to get the Tyler Farr gig, here's exactly what I did. First thing I did was I called Chris, and I took some vocal lessons. This is one of the ways that we met.
Why? Because you're a bass player. Why did you need to take vocal lessons?
Because I was being asked to sing the high harmony on songs, and I kind of have a deep voice. So I was like,
well, it's not that deep, Mark. The vocal coach means like, well, Mark, your voice is kind of deep.
All right, you're right
Sorry,
about that.
I have to get my technical sides kicking in, right?
I thought my voice was too deep. I thought
my voice it's deeper than mine.
Yeah, and
it's not hard to have a deeper voice than mine, that's for sure.
And I thought my voice was too deep to even hit notes that high. And I was like, but I want this gig. How am I going to do this? Let me find someone who knows what they're doing, and actually hire them and let them help me. And you helped me.
That's right. My old drummer Ryan.
Ryan hooked us up. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Ryan, I miss Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan moved back to Florida, where you're from.
That's right.
And we miss you, Ryan. Ryan Weidenfeld, amazing drummer, by the way.
Come back.
Amazing drummer. I think he's got some videos on YouTube playing somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so after I took some lessons with you, I literally had my recording set up at home. So I had my computer, and I sat down with my bass and a mic just like this, and I would play along to his songs and play the bass part and sing and listen.
Oh, cool.
And I'd be like, nope, I still don't have it.
You just started doing it. You just got right in there and started doing it.
And I need to practice. It doesn't sound good. I need to keep practicing. And you listen back, you're like, if you don't,
slowly. So did you slowly start letting some of those things we went over? You were able to, like, each time you got a little bit better.
Yeah.
With a couple of those things, like Chris said, just breathe more, relax, let some airflow a little bit more.
I could hear it too. I hear like this note. I was trying to reach this note, and I would think back to our lessons and be like, okay, let me try to apply what Chris taught me, and see if I can't do that better. You know, so and sure enough, you know, some of the things that you mentioned or taught me were helpful. So I didn't stop and practice is so important. Like, I didn't stop practicing. I did this for months. I didn't stop practicing until...
I do remember you worked on it a long time.
You know, until I thought...
That's another lesson right there. Nothing comes immediately. Mark's been playing... You were playing in rock bands in Florida for a long time. You even did a couple of things with Cassidy Pope, winner of The Voice. You were in a band that opened for Godsmack.
Yes.
And now you're literally playing stadiums and arenas. And it still didn't come immediately, did it?
No.
It still takes some time. Yeah, but how confident are you now?
I have,
You're getting there. You're still getting.
Well, confidence is a funny thing. I know I can do it, but I still feel like I have to work every day to keep what I have. You know.
There you go.
You can't ever rest
Producing, singing, bass, everything you do.
You can't sit back on your laurels and be like, I made it. You know. Yeah. This is an ongoing thing. Music just never stops. You have to keep on it, because you can lose it too. It's very muscle memory related, you know.
Muscle memory. There's that practice, 20 minutes a day. That's the muscle memory right there, and just doing it over and over and putting more to your arsenal, as Mark said. So, Mark, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate it, Mark. We're definitely going to have you back, because Mark and I can talk for hours and hours about all this good stuff. And you know, we're gonna do some more work in the future, and maybe we can film some of that and everything. And So thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. Mark, once again, thank you, my brother.
Cheers.
And we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.